All right, good morning everybody. Welcome to construction day number 2. So today the plan is that we're going to do the other sections on the trailer. We're going to take that large section and actually we're going to cut it in 2 so they'll be more manageable because it's about 13 feet. We're going to make one section in the middle and then one section right over here. So just like we did with this one, first is to frame it, and then we're going to cut some holes to do the dry fitting of the bolts. You guys hear the roosters behind us? The thing we're trying to do is when the walls rest, we're going to rest on these 3, give it a good base, and then we're going to make a jagged end so that they interlace. So this is the interlaced corners, well supported sides for a good footing for the wall, and on this side we have 2 because the last beam is pretty narrow, so we only need 2. If we had a third one, that it wouldn't make sense. So nice interlaced corners with the stands up on every board. It's starting to take shape. And just in passing, something that I've learned is there is a crown to the piece of wood. It's really difficult to pick up, but there is a bow that occurs on the piece of wood at the top, and then you just mark a T on the top of the 2x4 so that when pressure is put down, the crown will drop down. If you do it the other way, then it kind of has no of that natural support. So it's just a quick tip to find the crown and lay it down so that it bows up. Another thing that we're doing, you'll notice we're leaving about 1/4 inch away from that left plate, and it's kind of edging over on this side because when we put the bolt through, we want to make sure that it's at the center of the 2x4 and it has enough so that you can go in there and then turn the nut as you're putting the screw down. So just something to keep in mind if you're happen to do it like we're doing, which is the 2x4 going straight up and down the ribs that are on the trailer, just for more stability, or using as much of the trailer as possible. So as we're putting these 3-inch screws into these double boards, we use this, which is called a square, and you can then take and rise or lower the lumber because the lumber is going to warp. So one thing that you have to keep in mind whenever you're working with wood, if this is your first time, that your wood is not going to be straight and you have to straighten it as you go. So I'm lucky to have an assistant with nurse's hands as we screw this in to be able to move the wood up and down so that it's always going to be a nice and level surface when we put the rest of the flooring pieces together. So once we're done with the bolting, then we're going to work on creating each individual. All right, let's try that again. Once each of the sections are complete and we have them dry bolted, then we're going to start building each individual subflooring sections. So to make the subflooring section, we've chosen on top is going to be 3/4 inch plywood, and then you're going to have the framing, and inside the framing it's going to be 3.5 inch worth of solid foam, and then around the perimeter we're going to spray with some foam insulation, and underneath of that we'll be putting 3/8 inch plywood to have that firm cavity. Under that we're going to put a rubber layer so that the moisture will be stopped, and under that rubber layer we're going to be putting the aluminum flashing to stop any rodents from getting at the underneath of the trailer. So the staging and the way it's going to work is that we're going to flip these over, and then we're going to put in the 3/8 plywood, then the rubber, and then the aluminum. We'll flip it back, and then we'll be able to drill through that flashing and then bolt it into place, and then we'll put in the foam insulation, and then we'll put in the capping plywood on top. And for drilling these holes, we're going to use a drill that's plugged in, because battery powered would simply just drain the batteries for nothing. So having this tool is going to make the job doable nonstop. Here's the test that we've done. So we have 1.25 inch down into the wood, and then we have a 1/2 inch made specifically for wood so that it self-drives as straight as possible, and then we just stop shy of hitting the metal, and then a 1/4 inch pilot hole, and then we're going to top it off with this 9/16 just to give it a bit more size than the actual 1/2 inch bolt that we have to go through. So this is just a test, and if this works, then we'll have a system to be able to do the rest of this. And that's going to take quite a while, and probably a good part of the rest of the day. Bit of a funny situation. The power actually went out around town here, so my dad hooked it up to his truck that's running right now, and we have one more hole to bore out, and then we can put at least the 3 sections down, and then we'll have one more metal section left. So the pilot holes have been almost all drilled through, and for the end of today will just be, those sections will be ready to be made into the subfloor sections. So we'll do that next construction day. Alright, so my Dad and I got this far, bolted in for the most part. So the plan, it went pretty good according to plan. So with that, I will see you next construction day. God bless.